Hello, Facebook. Hello, everyone. We are live, and today is Thursday, and it means that I am bringing to you another Jay Shetty Certified Coach, another alumni of our school, to share their story with you and also to give you some tips that are aligned with their coaching expertise and coaching experience. Today, we are going to be talking about the area of coaching which we never explored before in any of the interviews or even in the coaching clinics. To give you a hint for future, our niche or our topic today is about hypno coaching, and I cannot wait for our today's guest to tell us everything about it. Please welcome our dear Adrian Porter, hypno coach, Jay Shetty Certified Life and Success Coach. Welcome, Adrian. Such a pleasure.
Hi, Medina. Thanks for having me on today.
Of course, it is absolutely fantastic because hypno coaching is something that I don't think I heard quite often. I don't think I explored myself at all right now. And I personally cannot wait to hear what is it all about. But of course, I also cannot wait to hear your story. And I know that a lot of our viewers also would love to hear that first. So Adrian, let us start with telling our audience a little bit about you and when and how did you decide to become a coach?
Well, we've got COVID to thank for that. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and last year when we went into lockdown, I found that all of my clients that were very much clinic based, obviously I couldn't see anybody. I hadn't got an online business. So I'd got a couple of choices. I could either sit and let the months while by, or I could find another path to go down while I was waiting for my business to reopen. And I did a couple of courses. I looked at NLP, I did a couple of other smaller courses, but then the Jay Shetty Pathway course landed in my email box. So I spent 6 days doing the Jay Shetty course and totally fell in love with it and signed up 2 days later. And here I am. So that was the end of April last year I started it.
Well, April last year, and then a few months later, you've graduated, became a coach, and now you already work with your clients. But Adrian, let's dive a little bit deeper about your background story and also about the choice behind your coaching niche. And tell us, what is hypno coaching and how is it different from just life coaching?
So hypno coaching is a combination of using hypnotherapy techniques and coaching techniques. So as I've already mentioned, my background was clinical hypnotherapy, which I absolutely love. I love what it gives to my clients because I don't just focus on going backwards, I focus on going forwards as well, which, as we all know, life is about looking forwards. You know, we don't want to be going backwards because that's not going to get us anywhere, but you know, we all want to be moving forwards. So my hypnotherapy, I work with a lot of people moving forwards. And then I looked at how I could tie the coaching into the hypnotherapy side of things. And with a lot of my hypnotherapy clients, there's a lot of conversation while they're in a state of relaxation. So what I've done is I've transferred a lot of the skills that I've learned on the Jay Shetty course over into the hypnotherapy sessions and asking the questions. And because the client is in that state of hypnosis and you've got that direct conversation with the subconscious mind, the answers and the responses and the results that we're getting are so powerful that it enables them to move forward so much more quickly than perhaps they would have done if I just used hypnotherapy techniques or just used coaching techniques. I mean, obviously, it's not the same for every client that I see. Some people do want a hypno, some people want coaching, and then others, it's a combination. And I just do a lot of subconscious mind working as well. So they just all mesh together really quite nicely.
I love that approach, and it's the first time I'm hearing the implementation of coaching and hypnotherapy. I am very, very curious right now. I'm very intrigued, I must confess. Now, Adrian, talking about resourcefulness and talking about the power of the subconscious, I think you are a great example, first of all, yourself, with what you are doing right now, demonstrating the power of the subconscious and the power of the resourcefulness that you have within yourself. Tell us a little bit about how did becoming a coach change you as a person, and which changes are you observing in yourself right now?
I think I came to the course very blinkered. I've always had a very positive mindset. I've got no idea where it comes from, but I've just had this attitude that everything will always be okay. But I think one of the things that I lacked more than anything was self-awareness. And I've learned so much since starting the course in sort of like April, May last year. I've learned so much more about myself, about the self-awareness and accountability. And I've learned how resilient I actually am. I think previously in the past, I've had a tendency to slip into victim mode just a little bit. But what the course has actually taught me to do is, rather than slipping into victim mode, is to actually stop, take stock of the situation and look at it from a different angle and then move forward from there, rather than making excuses and going, I can't do that, or that's so and so's fault. Well, that's not my fault. So I think resilience probably is the biggest thing for me, that I've been able to carry forward into my current day life.
Sounds like during the program you were able to get out of the drama triangle and you were able to make the shift, as you said, from victim to creator, or from victim to a coach, which we are now observing. Do you remember your first coaching session, Adrian?
I was petrified. I was absolutely petrified. I remember that I was on one of Virage's group calls, and he was doing a fishbowl exercise, and I'd been sat for a couple of weeks umming and ahhing whether to do it, and I just wasn't feeling brave enough. And it was actually because of Uncle Priyesh, that I had a conversation with him, that I ended up jumping on the call the following week and taking part in the fishbowl exercise. And once I'd done that, I'd got a real taste for it, a real hunger for it. So then I was trying to get through the modules as quick as I could so that I could then do some coaching calls. I was terrified when I first did it. And I look back at the original recording and it's awful. In my mind, it was awful because there was so many double questions. There were so many leading questions. There were so many closed questions that it was amazing that we actually got any answers out of the session. But because of the feedback that I got from Viraj, I could see where I was going wrong and where I needed to make the changes. So although it was a slow process for me, when I did get there and I did start getting results, it was the most amazing feeling, seeing that look on somebody's face when they have that aha moment, or there's that moment of clarity and you can just see the tension drop from their shoulders because they feel so much better. It's so satisfying. It's addictive.
I agree with you. Addictive indeed, and satisfying, the most rewarding feeling in the world. If we're looking right now at where you are as a coach and at your clients that you work with, was there one particular client that you are remembering now and you are saying, well, I'll never forget that client because they taught me the most until today? Is there any story you can share with us?
Yeah, and it was one of my fellow students who taught me a lot. He is amazing. We still do regular calls now. And just seeing the way that he's changed in such a short time, he literally has gone from 0 to 60 in a short period of time. He's changed his life around. He's a different person. And I love it whenever he comes to any of the calls, because he'll be doing something and he'll suddenly go, oh, I need to do that because I know that Adrienne's going to pick me up on that. But he doesn't tell me until after I've picked him up on it. He said, I knew you were going to pick me up on that. So he's been a massive confidence builder for me. He's someone that I love working with, but it just, because he's, and this is going to sound awful, he's almost like another son to me. I've got a 21-year-old son, and he's not much older than my son. And it's just seeing what he goes through. It kind of helps me to see what my own son might go through in a few years to come. But yeah, he's been amazing and inspirational. So he got, you know, just the way that he views his life now in comparison to how it was. Yeah, he's definitely going to be, he's up there.
Sounds like he's a wonderful teacher indeed, because as a coach, I'm sure you also learn from every client. And thank you for sharing that story with us. Absolutely beautiful. Adrian, how does the coaching process of working with a hypno coach, Adrian, look like to a potential client?
All of my initial contact, it'll either be via email or WhatsApp, and I offer everybody a free discovery call just so that they can find out really whether we're the right fit for one another. And then I'll do a full consultation session, because I think it's important to build that relationship and get the rapport going, because if you haven't got that connection and that rapport, you can't work together synergistically. You're never going to get the best out of the client. So for me, it's a big thing getting that consultation right first. And I'll always say to somebody, if we're not a right fit, I don't think that I'm the right person for you. And it might be that I have to send them to another coach, or it might be, as recently I've had to send somebody to a counsellor because the counsellor was a far better fit than the coaching or the hypnotherapy side of things. And then from there, we'll sit down and we'll have a session. It's about the client at the end of the day. My job is to sit there and listen to them, not give them any answers. They need to find the answers themselves. I'm just the facilitator. I don't know whether I'm a little bit different in the way that I work, in that I don't tie people into, you must have this many sessions, you must have that many sessions. I'll be led by the client. I used to do sports therapy years ago. That was my background. And I always used to say to my clients, you know your body better than anybody else does. Yes, I work on it on a weekly basis, but you know your body. So my clients know their minds better than I do. So they know what's right and they know what's wrong, and when they're comfortable and they're not comfortable. So if they come and have a session with me and they think that they don't need one for another couple of weeks, then that's fine. Come back to me when you feel that you're in that space where you're ready to take the next step forward. So it's very much a two-way relationship between us, in that I will always allow them that freedom of movement. I mean, I do offer courses, but I have a lot of people that we tend to do rolling sessions rather than being tied into a course.
Sounds really and really interesting. I'm more and more intrigued by the hypno coaching. Already I am seeing the questions from the audience, and I want to invite them all. Ask Adrian anything that you'd like to know about hypno coaching, or about Adrian and her story and her coach training experience. Anything you wanted to know, just give us your questions in the chat. We are starting to take the questions right away. Kelly Turner, your fellow alumni of the Jay Shetty Certification School, is curious. Who is your ideal client?
This has been a really difficult one for me. In the early days, I thought that my ideal client was purely male-based, because I'm a huge advocate of men's mental health. However, in recent weeks, because of my own challenges, what I've discovered is that my passion is for health and wellness. Not just mental wellness, but physical wellness as well. So it doesn't matter what age you are, you know, whether you're a teenager or whether you're 70, you know, if you are committed to creating personal health and wellness, and you're willing to work with somebody, committed to yourself and committed to me, then I'll work with you. Good question, Kelly.
You must be committed. I love that. That pre-qualification basically to work with you is that you have to demonstrate that you are ready to commit and you can demonstrate actual commitment and adherence to agreements. Donna, another fellow alumni, is asking you, what do you do if a client wants to do hypnotherapy but resists the process unintentionally?
I've got a secret weapon. I've got a secret weapon. It's all about making the client feel comfortable in the outset, building up the positive affirmations in their mind before the session starts. Because if you're building up the yeses and they've got that confirmation in their own mind that, yes, I do want to create this change, I do want to make a difference, then actually they're not going to resist unintentionally. You're always in control when you're in hypnosis. I don't control you. With the subconscious mind, you'll only ever do what's within your personal remit. So I couldn't make somebody strip naked and run up and down the main road if it wasn't within their remit. But if it's something that they quite happily do, then, yeah, I could probably do it. But in all essence, you as a client are in control when you're under hypnosis, and it's just a conversation with the subconscious mind. And the way that I look at the subconscious mind is it's like your own personal archive. And sometimes the files get mixed up and we just need to reorganize the files. And it might be that something's crept to the front of the filing cabinet that needs to be put at the back of the filing cabinet. So all we do is just reorganize those files so that everything's where it should be.
Makes perfect sense. And Adrian, I'm curious now, in the post-COVID world, you probably have to do your hypnotherapy and hypno-coaching online. Doing hypnosis online versus doing hypnosis in person, does it make any difference for the client or for you?
Not the feedback that I've had. I am still very lucky that I am allowed to see clients face to face. I've got my own therapy room. There's plenty of room in here. Unfortunately, my governing body allow me to see people on a face-to-face basis, which is brilliant, because I've still got so many clients that prefer the face-to-face, just because of, going back to what I said earlier on, that personal connection and the rapport. But I mean, in all essence, hypnotherapy online, the sessions that I've done, the results that I'm getting are equally as good as the results I'm seeing in clinic. Because the benefit you've got of doing a session online is that you're actually in the comfort of your own home. So as long as you've got a safe space where you're not going to be disturbed, you're comfortable and you've got your earbuds in and you've done a safety check around the house first, then there's no reason why it won't work. It's just totally relaxing because you haven't got to then get in the car and go back home afterwards.
I love that. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. And thank you for explaining that to us. Now I am seeing also an interesting question from Mazen. Mazen is curious, in your hypnosis sessions, do you follow the ABC framework or you have a special framework that you follow?
It depends on the individual. No two people are the same. So it's difficult to say, yes, I do in every session, or yes, I follow something else. I'm guided by the client. Depends what they've come in for, depends what they want to achieve from the session. So purely down to the individual as to how the session goes and what direction it goes in.
I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely agree that there is no one blanket approach. Catherine is asking a very interesting question. How do you use the skills that you learned in training and help the Breast Cancer Society?
That's actually a really interesting question. If it's okay, Medina, if I can go into what we were talking about earlier on. Yeah? Okay. So I graduated from Jay Shetty at the end of September last year. And on the day of my panel interview, I was straight after going for an MRI scan and shortly after got re-diagnosed with secondary cancer. So since my graduation, I've been building my business, reopening the doors of my hypnotherapy business and going through treatment for secondary cancer. If it wasn't for my hypnotherapy training and my coaching training over the last 9-10 months, I wouldn't have the mindset that I've got now. I talked earlier on about the resilience, and what I've been able to do is step away from victim mode and rationalize what's going on. I don't go down the route of, oh, woe is me, why is this happening to me? It's okay, this has happened to me. I've got two directions I can go in. I either sink or swim. And I choose to swim. I don't battle cancer. I tackle cancer, and I outwit it. And what I've done, because of the training that I've had, is I've completely radicalized my lifestyle. I did actually do a Facebook Live this morning because today is World Cancer Day. And I've done so much research over the last couple of months into alternative therapies, changing your diet, and how to look after yourself properly when you're going through something like this. And I think because I went through breast cancer in 2013 and obviously going through secondaries now, I've learned from my first experience, because my first experience, I was that victim, I was angry, I was, why has this happened to me? Whereas now I'm very much a case of, this has happened to me for a reason. It was meant to give me a kick up the bum. It's given me a kick up the bum. I've turned my life around. And actually, because I've turned my life around and done the research that I've done, I'm actually better equipped now to help other people going through cancer. And off the back of it, I've actually created a 6-week to wellness plan to help not just people going through cancer, but anybody who wants to boost their immune system, lose weight, change their mindset, de-stress. So they're all transferable skills. You know, it's basically just flip it. You know, I meditate on a daily basis. 2 things that I struggled to do while I was training was meditate on a daily basis and journal. I now meditate on a daily basis and I journal on a daily basis, and I keep a food diary on a daily basis too. So I hope that makes sense and that answers the question.
Adrian, first of all, thank you so much for sharing your story. I know that a lot of people would be empowered by that, and immediately I see our students, Lucy, unfortunately, also is living with cancer, and she can totally relate. And Manal says, you are so brave, and I told you this behind the scenes, but I'll just say it again, that not only you are an inspiration and you are brave, but courage, like your courage is just captivating. I just wish that you could share that courage with many, many people, you know, who would need that. And, you know, everybody just says that you are absolutely amazing. We need more people like you. Bravo. A lot of support in the comments. And Lucy also says that she believes her cancer also is a blessing and her body is talking to change. And girls, I just, you know, I don't know how you do this, but I'm seriously inspired by your examples. Anyway, away from the sad aspect, let's go to Roswita's question. She's asking, hypno coaching with borderline personalities. She connected in professional ways with 2-3 different cases, so she often thought about it. Wouldn't it be a big help for the client or not? If the client, I guess, is with borderline personality, would hypno coaching help them or not?
Again, it depends on the individual. And before I accepted to work with anybody who was borderline personalities, I'd have to speak to any of the professionals that they are working with just to ensure that actually it's okay for me to work with that person. I have got somebody at the moment that I'm chatting to that's just been diagnosed with borderline personalities, who I'm waiting to hear back from. But yeah, at the end of the day, it goes down to the individual. So until I have a one-to-one with that person to gain a greater understanding of them, it's really difficult to say.
Makes perfect sense. And Adrian, out of curiosity, if you have a client who comes for hypnotherapy and you do a hypnotherapy session and you take them to post. You help them, as you said, organize some files, understand few things. When the hypnotherapy session is over, is it a good idea to start the coaching session after the hypnotherapy session is over, since the client is in that, clarity state of mind? Is the coaching perceived better, I think I'm trying to ask, after the therapy?
What I tend to do is I will send the client away and tell them to get pen and paper and spend the week making notes. It might be the odd word that pops into their head. They might have these epiphanies, but I'd rather somebody go home and reflect on it for a week and then come back and tell me what they've established over that week. I keep a note when I'm doing the hypno session anyway. I take notes as I go along, so I've got information that I can work with, and then we can take whatever they've got written down as well, and then we can move forward from there.
I love that. And what kind of challenges or what kind of issues your clients usually come to you with?
Oh gosh, I've had so many. From a hypno perspective, I've had gambling, I've had drink, I've had sex addiction. I've also had triathletes that I've worked with who had got a fear of open swim, and we did a lot of visualization work and then coached them forward from there. Somebody who worked in an office who was desperate for a promotion, but actually didn't have the confidence. They felt very undermined when they were in the office, so we did a lot of confidence work from that perspective. Weight management is another one. The thing with weight management, what I've learned there is that it's not about the here and now, that it's very much about whatever's gone on in our previous year. So when we can identify what the trigger is, we can then move forward from there, because you can then deal with the trigger and put that to bed, and then you can then concentrate on moving forwards and find out what their goals are, because hypnotherapy in some respects is no different to coaching. You need to know what the goal is, and unless you're connected with that goal, you're not actually going to get any results from it. So, from that perspective, there's very much a connection there.
And looking at pre-COVID and post-COVID challenges, do you see that post-COVID, for example, challenges are different rather than pre-COVID challenges, or is it pretty much the same?
I'm seeing a lot of people with anxiety, and they're all different ages. I've got one lady that comes into me in her late 70s, and she's got family, but she's very isolated, because she is used to being able to go out and do her thing, whether it's going down the gym or whether it's going to meet her friends. And of course, that's all been taken away now, because actually so many of her friends are living in fear that they won't even go out, even when we're not in lockdown, they won't go out anywhere. So it's had a massive disruption on so many people's lives. So anxiety is a massive one that I'm seeing.
Anxiety, how interesting. Well, obviously, right. Especially, as you said, certain categories of people are just triggered and affected more than the others. Definitely said. But Adrian, sounds like you're doing an absolutely fantastic work. And I'd like you to tell us more about, if somebody who is watching live right now or maybe on replay is going to resonate and wants to try out the hypno coaching, tell us, how can they get in touch with you and what is the process of starting to work with you?
Okay, well, there's a couple of ways that they can get hold of me. Firstly, I'm obviously on the Jay Shetty website, so you can find me on there. And I've actually got this jacket on there as well, so watch out for the purple jacket. I'm on social media. I've got a couple of websites, but the easiest one to find me on is adriennepotter.co.uk. I'm on Facebook. My username on my social media is @AdriennePCoach. So I can be contacted through any of those. I offer a free discovery call to everyone, whether it's hypno coaching, hypnotherapy, or coaching. And something that I'm doing throughout the month of February is I'm actually offering 30 free 1-hour coaching calls. So I'll do a discovery call, but I'm offering a free 1-hour coaching call as well. So yeah, and as I say, discovery call and coaching call. I can be contacted on my phone. I'm very relaxed about the way that I work because I'm aware that everybody's life is different. You know, nobody has got a rigid life, so it's important to be flexible for those. I've got my boundaries. You know, I've got my days that I work in clinic, but I give as much flexibility as possible to anyone who wants to work with me. But the catch is they've got to be committed, but committed to themselves and to the process.
So if you are committed and you are looking for a coach, do not miss this chance because it doesn't get any better than this. Not only Adrienne is offering a free discovery call, but also a one free actual coaching session. So find Adrienne on our website or find her on her website. It's www.adriennepotter.co.uk. And if you forget for any reason where you can find her, you can always send us a message and we are going to direct you to Adrienne's profile. But again, you gotta be committed, remember. And Adrienne, before we are going to thank you for your wisdom and time, what would be the tip that you could give to people who are just starting their journey with our certification school? I know many of them are going to watch this interview on replay.
Enjoy the journey. It's not a race. Take your time and be kind to yourself, because there are times when you'll look at it and go, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. Well, actually, you are good enough. So just be kind to yourself and enjoy the journey. And
thank you, Adrienne.
Do as many fishbowl as you possibly can.
I agree with you. Fishbowls are. And I think that's a wonderful advice because I'm seeing more and more in our new workplaces. Now we are all very closely connected through that workplace. I'm seeing posts from the students saying that I don't know if I can ever be as good as the alumni of the school. I don't know if I can ever be as good as this alumni is so speaking or that alumni is so speaking. So I decided to ask everyone I bring on the interview to give this kind of tip so they can understand that just 7 months ago, you were exactly where they are today. Thank you so much, Adrienne.
Enjoy the journey.
Enjoy the journey, absolutely. And you enjoy the time that you are spending with your fantastic clients. And I'd like to thank you for the bravery, for the courage, and also such a soulful interview that we had today. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to benefit from your services as you are already changing lives of many.
Thanks, Medina, and thanks to the school as well, because I've just got to take my hat off to them. They are amazing. Brilliant program and can't recommend enough.
Thank you, Adrienne. Thank you so much. And until we meet again inside the alumni community.
Thanks then. Take care.
Take care. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Bye-bye.